just wanted you to know. Let's see, here's another person. I promised people a clinic. So I really want to honor that. And I want to take questions. And I'm hoping people came with questions. I really want to be of use. I do not have a presentation to give. I have my own journey just to say, so I'm Beth Rapps, Raising Clarity founder. And I've been noticing that I'm getting bolder about money and it's working and I'm really enjoying it. I hope you can hear me. And if you can't, let me know. And I think there's a lot that we can do to be bolder about money. So I feel like it's in our hands. And I think that's really all I would say as an intro to set the theme. I have one question someone gave me from, hi Amy, from before the meeting, but I'm good with silence. And so that may inspire people if there's just silence. Not to fill it with any old thing, but to fill it with a real question. I'm going to be quiet and see who jumps in. What do you need to do to get bolder about money? How are you holding yourself back? What kind of permission do you need? What kind of questions do you have?
I think sometimes, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Knowing like what to charge, because my perception of money is that I'm good at getting by without a lot of it. So then what seems like a lot of money to me is like probably not that much money to other people. And then figuring out like, do I offer my coaching services sliding scale for people based on their income? Like, how do I make it so that I'm not, I don't want like these glass ceilings to my services, but I also don't want to, so it's hard for me to figure out what to charge for packages. Like, do I give a discount if they buy 12 sessions? Like, I don't know. It's just because my perception of money is probably distorted because I'm so good at getting by with not a lot. It feels like, can I charge somebody who's 25 years old $195 an hour? Like, does that make any, like, I don't know, you know? So I guess it's like, knowing, or, you know, or whatever. Not that I don't know if that sounds like a lot of money per hour for me to charge. So I just have a harder time figuring out what to charge because I don't want to have money be a block, because that's been a big deal for me. And, you know, figuring out like, can I offer certain scholarships or sliding scale for people who need my services who couldn't afford it otherwise? Anyway,
okay, I'm going to answer you now. I'm going to put you out of your misery. So there's two things. One is it's clear that you would like to charge more and you're curious, at least curious about making more money. Like you, I have done the impossible on the unthinkably small amounts of money, and we can do that. And that's just fine. That's a great thing to be able to do. But you're curious. I feel that you're curious. I'm sensing that about charging more. And so what I would say is, first of all, there has to be an alignment in you. There can't be a huge amount of conflict, or it does not matter what you say. I mean, no matter how well worded your messaging is, there's going to be something that people are going to feel like is pushing them away. So the alignment is a gift I'm saying, I think you should give that to yourself. And the other thing I would suggest is simply experiment, but track the experiment. Really treat it as an experiment. So if you want to charge whatever you want to charge, and offer whatever discounts you want to offer. Now, there are people who will say completely different things, and they are also right. I feel like what we do, what we stand behind, however I can support you getting bolder, and whatever bolder means to you, that's what's important to me. The last event I did was an interview with George Kao, who is wonderful. Authentic Marketing, K-A-O is his last name. And I'm in his second class. I'm taking classes with him, Authentic Marketing. And he has beautiful structures, he's tried a bunch of stuff and he knows what works for him. And he just is like the opposite of gouging. But what I say is, you can do whatever you want as long as you're aligned behind it. And so I can tell that you're curious. So getting bolder for you would be, okay, I am going to offer a coaching package at this price, or I am going to take a wild guess at who can afford $200 an hour. And I'm going to invite those people to coach with me. Hi, Kimberly. To coach with me at that price and see what happens. And again, if you invite them, like I doubled my rate. I didn't ask anybody. I just did it at the end of last year. I literally just went from X to 2X. That's what it was. Last year, the beginning of this year. And I, with very, very small exceptions, have not looked back. And what it did was filter out people that I didn't even want to be working with, and there weren't very many of them. So it's been a totally great experience for me. But that doesn't mean it's a great, I was really ready. I thought, you know what? I am ready to take this leap. This is scary as heck, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. And it was wonderful. I'm not going to do it again this year by any means. I am absorbing the lessons. I'm tracking what's going on, and I'm absorbing the lessons.
And prior to that, Beth, when was the last time you had raised your rates, and by what percentage of the time?
A long time, and again, 100%.
Oh, but how long ago?
A long time. Probably 5 years. Too long. Yeah. It hadn't been tracking. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go on.
Well, I didn't realize this was going to be so interactive, but that was the first thought that came to my mind.
Is that okay?
I just was like, I just built my website and I'm relaunching my coaching practice. So I'm sort of like getting back in. So that's why this is the issue.
That's great. Yeah. And I mean, you are at the heart of getting bolder. It's in us. I'm pretty convinced that, I studied like the high ticket offer, like $5,000, and I have received that. And there were parts of getting that I didn't like. It was not in alignment. It was tearing me up. Actually, there are parts of it that have taught me so much, and I might go back to it. Like it was not about the people who trained me. They were wonderful. It was about me and the alignment.
I just want to say real quick, one last thing before we move to somebody else. I've seen some programs where they do say something like, if cost is a concern, there's a limited number of, scholarship options, please message and we can have a conversation about your circumstances. And then I feel like maybe something like that, based on who I am and my own background, feels like if somebody really, really, really wants to, and they really, really aren't in a position to afford my full rate, I still, if I have enough regular paying clients, maybe 1 out of every 20 clients I could take would be like a lower rate, because I still want to be able to serve people regardless
of where
they are.
No, don't hear me saying you should. All I'm saying is you should be out loud. Oh, good. Okay, good.
I verbally process, and I just, when you were speaking, I had a memory of a Facebook post that I read, invitation for a program, where somebody put at the bottom, I really want to serve the people who feel called to work with me. If cost is an issue, let's have a conversation.
That's a good message. I like that.
Something like that might be good for me, because I don't want to feel like I have a glass ceiling that people who really would benefit.
You priced yourself out of being
because I grew up without a lot of money, so I don't want to feel like I'm exclusionary,
I only take people after a free meeting, and I give a free meeting to every single person now. And sometimes I do offer a discount on my price if I really feel like I can help the person. But everybody gets it. That's just how I do it. Okay, I want to see if anybody else, would like to ask a question. Tutu or Kimberly. Go ahead.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much, Amy, for your question, because I got some answers out of that as well. Beth, it's so wonderful to see you. I think it's been years.
Yeah, it has.
You look lovely.
Same, you do too. It's beautiful.
So, what's interesting is I think I've gone from, and I don't think, I know, I've gone from doubling my rates many years ago. It was low. So trust me, doubling was like making it regular. To where I am now, and this happened just a couple months ago, where I know I still want to help X, Y, and Z. I really want to serve certain people. But that's not as important to me anymore. That's number two. Number one is I really want to earn enough to do this one thing. Because I'm doing like 3 different things, like 2 different jobs, you know,
Okay.
just to make ends meet, so to speak. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. And it's just like, okay, fun has been removed from my life. And Tutu is not beautiful when she's not having fun. So my beauty has been escaping me. Because
Love how you're
there's
saying this.
the fun is not there, right? Because I'm literally working non-stop 6 days a week. I take 1 day off where I literally just crash. Okay. And I don't even want to consider that a day off because my mind is going so much that some parts of me still working, you know? And there's little balance in my own health. I'm a wellness person, for God's sake. So there's very little health balance. There's very little family and community building, personal, not for the community at large. So I'm missing all of this stuff that I think is valuable and I tell other people it's valuable. They're my own personal values because I'm having to work so much to make ends meet. So yes, I do really want to serve. I'm here to serve a particular group of people. All that is great. But what's the priority now is the Boulder. When I saw the Boulder statement and what came up for me was the Boulder is my value is clear to me, clearer than it ever was. And it took me many 3 or 4 years to get here, to get to a point where I'm like, Ermina, Queen to your new Tutu, you're the, okay? And you should be charging at least this much because of what it took you to get to where you are in terms of creating my own divination system, blah, blah, blah. I've written 7 books in 3 years, but I mean, okay, but I'm still charging pennies here and there, and I have to move beyond that in order for me to sustain myself. I don't, well, right, because I'm not going to work more. There's no more of me to work. It doesn't have, so it has to come from a different place. So I'm looking at Boulder. I don't know what Boulder means for me per se. I'm looking at the packages. I'm looking at, you know, do I only do it this way? Do I do it that way? I've tried this, I've tried that. I mean, it's just, so I was hoping to just get information, but now that you said this is more interactive, I brought this forth.
Okay, so, good. That's what I should start defining what I mean by clinic. When I say clinic style, it's bring your question and we'll talk about it.
I may have overlooked that.
No, I don't think you did. I think it's not clear to people. I mean, it was in there, but I think it's not clear enough. And next time, I love doing this, so I'm going to do it again and I'll figure that out.
Okay.
So Ermina, the first thing is what's going on inside you. It really, again, like I said to Amy, it doesn't almost matter what you do. It matters to you, but there's so many ways to be successful. So, and I'm not just bouncing the question back to you. What does Boulder mean to you? I mean, okay, if you're not bold enough, it's clear you're not bold enough. I don't know what else is going on, but why are, what's holding you back? What's holding you back? Do you know?
So I don't think I've ever been an extremely bold person. I know
around
that's
money,
hard to,
maybe. Around money.
Really? Around everything.
God, I find people so bold.
I know. And I think it's because I have an illuminated presence. So that shows up as this kind of boldness, but I was always very timid. I was a timid child. I took classes in order to be able to do what I'm doing now. I took a lot of speaking classes so I can actually speak to people, look at people in the eye. I did this when I was much younger, but I was extremely timid. My favorite place in the world was a dark room listening to music.
Oh, I understand you. You're an introvert. I mean, I would describe that as an introvert.
And how?
Okay.
And
okay.
So doing the out stuff,
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. It's inside you. Who's holding you back? And, you have guides. You have, I want to say the ancestors. You have all the people who help you in your work day to day. They can help you with this question. how to remove. It's like you have veils, you have blocks. Seeing yourself, you can be quiet and wealthy. You can be quiet and abundant. We don't have to be fake. If quiet and centered and powerful, I'm sorry, but powerful is definitely a part of my experience of the ritual that I've participated in. I mean, you led the fire ritual. And then my building burned down, and it was like the best thing that happened to me. Like 3 weeks later, after Amina's fire ritual, my entire building burned down 6 years ago in Berkeley Springs. I'm like, no, this woman has got something going on here. But what I find is we exclude money somehow. Whoa, it's real. We exclude money from the center of our concern. We set money over there somewhere, and we forget to use the tools that we have. We forget to integrate it so that our asking comes across as fake or unintegrated, out of alignment. You know, we talk all day about the work that we do and what we offer and healing and that, but we have failed to bring money into our talk so that it's real talk for us. I don't know how you're limiting yourself. I see how you see yourself, and you see yourself as quiet, and somehow there's an opposition to in the self-definition of this is I'm a person who I don't do this, whatever this is. And over here with this is where the money is where it's okay to ask for what you need. And the other thing though is when you're starting out new work, it doesn't often work to say, I want to make a bundle of money. I don't like that approach. It's good to have another employment, another stopgap. You are working too much. I agree. But as you're building something, it can feel like it's breaking its back if everything is dependent on that one source of income. What has allowed me to experiment is I have I'm an editor, I'm a French translator, I do a couple of different things. And it's been such a blessing to have several streams. But I hear you. You have got to commit to yourself and your guides that you're ready to stop. You want to work so many hours a week, period. What is that? That's what I mean about getting bolder. I don't mean developing a fake extroverted personality. If that's helpful.
That is helpful. And Beth, I can tell you developing a fake personality is outside of my ability.
Okay, good.
But
you are frustrated. You are clearly like, I'm done with this part. But you don't quite know how to leap yet. You don't quite know how to leap.
I do not. That's not it. Let me process, because you said a lot that was really meaningful, especially the part about connecting with my guides.
Okay.
About what's holding me back. I come from a divergent, what I call divergent ancestry, where there's ancestors on this side that have a certain pattern, and then there's ancestors on that side that have a certain pattern, and they're in direct conflict with each other. So part of what I'm here to do is actually to unify the two divergent fighting. They literally were fighting each other, but because what they've done is use my body for that fight, so to speak, and my job is to integrate them. That's part of what I'm here to do. And I've done it in other areas, emotions, health, blah, blah, blah. And money has been the toughest one for me. One side of my family is landowners, wealthy, highly educated, all the stuff that kind of associate with that. The other side are considered to be the peasant class in Haiti, the people of the earth, the people who are, and so on. And one side literally killed the other off, not to make a joke. It's not funny.
Not at all.
It's funny. It hurts when I say it out loud. So I think that was what you heard. The funny part was me feeling the pain, because the side that I actually am in love with is my peasant class family. Because they have the most authentic characters. They were delicious to be. They still are. I haven't been to Haiti in a while, but they're delicious to be around because they take care of me in a certain way. And then the other ones, there's a lot of competition and fighting, things that are a little different than how I like to show up. So this is definitely something I will be taking to them.
Okay, can
For
I
you.
offer one observation? If
Absolutely.
money is on the side of the family that you don't like and you don't feel comfortable with, this is a split.
Yeah.
And so how can you come to an integration about money that feels juicy and abundant? And I obviously have no idea what the answer is, but that's a starting question, so that there is a fusion in you, so that you're allowed to be a lovely person and have plenty of money.
Yeah, interesting.
And you don't have to be a landowner. You don't have to be a quote. You can be a landowner, but you don't have to be the model of the people you don't like. You may need to go in search of models.
Well, part of what comes with that is inheritances.
Right.
So I am a landowner.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I kind of mean metaphorically more.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
And I haven't
I'm sure
figured
you
out
are.
how
And
to.
it's great to be a landowner. Yeah.
I haven't figured
Right.
out how to take that in yet.
Right. I like goddesses work for me, like Lakshmi. But the cool thing about Lakshmi, the Hindu goddess,
Mhm.
is that another one of her names is Santosha, and Santosha means contentment. And I have spent so long unlearning what my culture and society and ancestry told me about money, and then very slowly bringing in little pieces and looking for healthy models and integrating those for myself. That I was so thrilled when I found that out about Lakshmi. I was like, oh, right. Because when I am in contentment, I don't need anything. But I mean, I have to. So in this sense of I'm charging a certain amount, I'm relating to people in a certain way, I'm very frank about money. I mean, one of the things I do is work with money, so I have to be at least more comfortable than usually the people I'm talking to, or I can't help them. This comes out of fundraising, like learning to ask people for way more money than I will have, or I have at the moment. Anyway, it's the inner work, so that we're coming across as authentic and we're still able to get what we would like without a limit self-imposed. Okay, Kimberly, hi, would you like to ask a question? And we may very well have time for people to come back to another question. Hi.
Hi, Beth. Hi, everyone. Thank you. So I don't have a specific question. And the question is, how do I go from here? Right. And the context is Felix is my employer. I just started working for Felix. He told me about this event.
Oh,
and we're building a new nonprofit. And so coming from, I know I need healthy structure, right? And I'm coming from having my own small business where I tried to do so many different things, or working for other small businesses or nonprofits where it was constant crisis mode and like exploitation culture, right? Exploiting the people for the mission. And then my most recent job was working at an environmental startup where actually I was paid well and it wasn't constant crisis mode, but the culture eroded as the company grew and it became more corporate and not a good culture anymore. So here I am now in this new context where the structure isn't presented for me. I'm more in charge of my own finances and income. It's more similar to when I had my own small business, and yet not, because I'm working for this organization and growing this new thing that Felix had the vision of, right? And I'm helping to steward and grow. So yeah, I don't know exactly what my question is. I just know that it feels a little daunting or scary to not have clear structure or clear hours, even like we're growing my hour, like it's starting a few hours a week, right? And hopefully you'll get to 30 hours a week, right? But it's sort of like the path is unclear.
So a couple of reflections. You can impose the structure that you need. You can create the structure that you need. Are you there? Happening? Can you hear? Uh-oh, we can hear you.
Sorry, I was getting a phone call in it.
Oh, I couldn't figure out because we can hear you
I apologize.
fine. Okay, great. So a couple of reflections is that you can create the structure that you need. I live with one other person, like a hermit on top of a mountain. We have a very ritualized life. And it's not because we have to, like Yermina, we're working so many hours. No, I just thrive in structure. So I experiment with structure. You can do that. A simple question for you is, what do you want? And I would ask that of each person on the call. Can you say what you want? I mean, sometimes it takes me a long time to sort through the different thoughts in my head, the different pictures, and then to say, I want this. And the universe gives me what I am actually asking for. It doesn't always give me what I say I want, it gives me what I feel I deserve. Wherever I'm limiting myself, I just notice that I get some kind of weird hypermorphic version of what I asked for. But so to you, Kimberly, starting out and having had the suite of experiences you've had, do you know what you want? And if so, then I welcome you to speak it into this space even. What do you want? You're very brave. It's great. A lot of people won't even come to something like this if they don't know, if they don't have a question or whatever.
Yeah, I want to be part of a team where we're each contributing our unique gifts, where what my role is what I inherently do and how my brain works and what I'm good at. And we're working for a mission, right? To make the world a better place in some meaningful way. And to really feel that teamwork, that support, that, I don't just want to be behind a computer all day by myself, right? Just doing like a spreadsheet, right? Even though I'm very detail oriented, it's details with bigger picture and meaning and values. How do we set up the systems to really meet the real needs and what's important here, right? So being part of the team and figuring out what are the real needs and how do we best meet them? And yeah, so being part of a team for meaning.
Okay. And
So,
go ahead, Felix.
No, I will jump in a little bit because I will apologize for the fact that I didn't read the description of this carefully. Getting bold about money, to me, I thought that was thinking about money differently, and everybody has glancingly talked about that. Amina and Amy and you, about the screwed up way money is treated in our society and the way each of us treat it. And so I have a couple of insights, but I don't want to hijack this conversation, which is how much I should charge, because what I was in reading it, I was thinking, how should we think about money in our society, including how should we give, not just charge? I will start by saying that one thing that I've done a number of times in hiring people is I've asked them to be the first person to say what they want. And then we've negotiated, and I've said very directly, I want to hire you at a rate where you feel good, where you don't feel exploited. And I think that in terms of consulting, I think that model can work also. So I think if you're thinking about sliding scales and things like that, that anyone could say, okay, this is my standard rate. But if you have said you can't charge, you can't pay that, you can't afford that, and you and I think that I can be helpful to you and we can have a productive time, what's a rate where you feel it's fair to both sides? And I've found that has worked many times before. So that's just sort of a little contribution to the conversation about charging as a consultant or freelancer. And just by the way, I come to this because I know Beth, because she's been a consultant to an organization that I value very highly, and Living Room Conversations that is hoping to make a big impact in the world and bringing people together. So that was what drew me here. But I do feel like the conversation I'm kind of interested in having is a different conversation. It definitely builds on what Kimberly said, because basically I am looking for to talk with people who understand the truth of our world, who really understand the moment we are in this world at this point, the urgency of this time, and therefore the need for us to act and live in that truth. And I just read a quote about Dorothy Day, the Catholic worker activist, who said she understood the truth and she tried to live inside it. And there are most people don't do that. And I feel that anyone at this point who is saying, okay, you know, how can I run my business and make a living and so on, I feel like they have to take into account the fact that the world most of us think we live in now no longer exists. We're acting as if we still live in it, but it's gone, and we're in a different world. And in that different world, we need a kind of audacity or boldness to act in a different way. And so I think that that applies to consultants as much as anybody else.
Thank you. I wanted to go back to Kimberly's question and your ability to say what you wanted. And so then going back to the theme of the conversation, my job in this meeting is to ask each of you how you can be bolder, to coach you through your questions to being bolder. So if what you want is what you say you want, what would be the next bolder step? Yeah, okay, I have some answers, but I'm not you. So, yeah, and you may not want to say anything, but how can you be bold in making that happen for yourself? It has something to do with money, but what you actually didn't say anything about money in your question, which is just fine. It's okay. I trust that it's still, money is somewhere in the conversation. Money is somewhere in that, getting bolder. What I'm really interested in is people getting bolder about anything they want. And this event came out of me realizing, wow, I am much bolder about money. And I've been told it's a taboo to talk the way I do. And look at how well it's working for me. How much oppression was it that people were telling me it was a taboo? Who is being served by my observing a taboo? And who is also being served by my being bolder? And the good things I think that are happening because I'm being bolder. So I encourage you, I support you. Okay, you're in a leadership position to create the team you want. Seize it. Right? Yeah, I see those eyebrows and the nodding head. Okay, great. That's great. And Felix, I'm delighted you're in the conversation. You're getting bolder about money is telling other people with a lot of money what you think they should do with their money. That's bold as hell. I love what Felix is doing. I'm like, yes, absolutely. We all need to, well, first of all, I believe we're all philanthropists. We all have some small amount, even small amount we can give. And I believe firmly in giving. I'll say for the record, I believe in reparations and I practice what I'm saying. I tithe, I give away money. And people who don't think they have enough money to give away are making a rod for their own back. It's really making life very, very difficult. It doesn't almost matter how much you give away. The alignment inside you of saying, oh, I have this, it creates abundance. It creates a feeling of abundance. If you feel good about the amount you're giving. And I feel like in my case, I mean, I am, as from my perspective, speaking from a quarter or a dime, if that's what you have. And if it's scary to give that, give it and see and track the results. You know, this is also I'm very research oriented. I'm very practical also, even though I may come across as airy-fairy or whatever. I just understand that we're responsible for our own lives and this is where it starts. And I have very specific practices for working with the blockages inside, as well as things that are like budgeting, fundraising, learning to have an investment conversation. I mean, all those things. Anyway, I don't want to grandstand. I could talk the whole time and I don't want to do that. I want to entertain thoughts and questions. And I'm also fine if we're just silent.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting with what would be getting bolder for me right now. And I don't have an answer yet, and that's okay, right? Living in the questions is important. And I do have a sense that I would like more support to around the creation of the structure, right? Like it doesn't just have to come from within me and what I already know, or from within Felix, right? Like what support could be helpful in this creation. And again, another question that I don't necessarily have an answer to. And I appreciate what you said earlier about practicing routine, right? Practicing routine in my own life. That's going to be even more important. Being at home, being a consultant, you know, not having the structure of a corporate job, right? So having this, what really works for me, and playing with that, being a scientist about it almost. Let me experiment. How do I feel when I do the routine this way? Or if I change it up, or right? So I appreciate that. I will say I've done a lot of work around my relationship with money. From the book, The Energy of Money, and Maria Nemeth, and learning from her. And also I'm in a 12-step program called Debtors Anonymous. So instead of alcohol, it's the money program. And that's been tremendously helpful in right relationship with money in my life. So I was able to be clear about what I wanted with Felix, and I'm able, you know, I track all of my spending in different categories, and I'm very clear around money in many ways. Of course, always more to learn. And yeah, and so it's money connected to how do I really give my authentic contribution in this world, right? And believing that that is worthy and enough and full, right?
I think you're speaking for other people on the call when you ask that question. How do I give my authentic contribution to the world, and how do I believe that's worthy and enough? We really can figure that out. We really can get past that point where we are offering our contribution and we're making what we would like to make, what we feel good about making. I'm not interested in anybody gouging anybody, but I'm not interested in anybody being gouged either. Just the right, where it feels good. And if it feels good to most of us, but then some parts of us keep pulling us out of alignment, I think those are really important voices to look at. Like you've talked about healing your relationship with money. I'm a certified money coach, so it's not Maria Nemeth's work, but it's Deborah Price's work, the Magic, is it Money Magic, the Institute for Money Coaching. And I know about Maria Nemeth, and I had a wonderful one-on-one with a potential client who was in Debtors Anonymous. And she just spoke so highly. And it was clear to me they were doing some of the work that is like real fundamental work that I end up doing sometimes with people. Our culture is a debting culture. It's so creepy. No fault if people are in debt. It's just like, and so addictive. Anyway, it creates this really awful, money to me is a wonderful tool. It's kind of like grammar. It's like a human invention. It's a structure, and we can use it in different ways, and I guess there's a correct grammar. There's maybe a correct way we want to speak, but it's just such an interesting thing, but it doesn't need to be creepy and disgusting. Anyway, thank you. It's so interesting.
Thank you.
And so
I'd add to creepy, shameful, secret, and private, and worrying that if anybody knows what you earn, how much money you have, that your relationship is going to be permanently ruined. All those things are extras, unnecessary extras, in my opinion.
Unnecessary extras. And so becoming bolder could be being out about how much money you make, whether it's very little or very much a lot. And at one point I had a lot. My mother had died and I had a lot of money, what to me was a huge amount of money. And I did give friends like chunks of it, and then they came back to me for more. And I had to say no to my friends when they knew that I had a lot. And it was really awful. It was hard. And I did it anyway. And thank God for fundraising. Thank God for learning how. I had been a fundraising consultant for years, so I'm pretty comfortable and not very manipulable about money. But Felix, I don't envy you. I think, and so being bolder could be all the things. That's why I say what you're doing is really bold. It's inviting people to be out and be seen and be transparent and not be ashamed. However we came by our money, we don't need to be ashamed of it. It's totally not helpful. Doesn't make it cleaner, doesn't make it better for us to be ashamed. No, I love what you're doing.
So my models, two models, one of them is Jeff Bezos's ex-wife, who Mackenzie Scott. She announced that she had $55 billion and she was going to give it all away as soon as possible. And she was not going to ask for anything from the organization. She was just someone would call them up, say, sending you money. We don't want you to justify it, say what you're going to spend it on. We have confidence in you. That's why we're doing it. And so she's shaking up the world of philanthropy in a big way. And then on a lower level, there's a group called Patriotic Millionaires, which is a group of about 150 millionaires who say, here's who I am. This is my name. It's right on the website. I'm a millionaire, tax me more.
Ugh.
And so those are both out examples, and the out metaphor I think is really helpful.
I do too. Yeah, letting people be out. Look like Amy, like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think our whole it's not something that we can get in a conversation about right now, probably, but I think it's really interesting. I think our whole American culture is just really messed up about money. Like it just from the whole thing, like the people who have it because they took it from other people or stole land or enslaved people, and like the whole thing about like on the outside, people look like they have a ton of money, but like if you ask somebody how much money they make, that's one question. But if you ask them how much debt they have, that's another question. Now, there are people who have amazing credit scores who are broke. And then there are people who have shitty credit scores who have lots of money, but because one time in their life, something happened maybe and their credit got messed up, or like people like me who got scholarships because I was smart to college, but I still had to take out loans because who was paying for my housing and books because my parents didn't have money. And now my loans compounded and compounded and compounded. Like for me, I think my issue, like personally, I've worked on my issue with money, but systemically, I have like a real frustration about our systems. Like I'm never going to pay my student loan debt. It's just I don't even know who has it anymore. I have shame around that. And I'm also angry about it because my student loans kept getting sold and sold and sold and sold and sold and sold. I don't even know who has them because they can just take it and sell it. I don't even know who to call. Like I looked at my credit report, it's not there. I don't even know. And I'm angry about the tax system, and I'm angry about racism and inequality with poverty. Like you have to stay really poor or you have to be really rich in this country. And it's really like, I prefer like the Nordic mentality, like tax you according to your income. Everybody should have healthcare. College should be free. I'm very progressive. So I realized that part of my relationship with money isn't just my personal relationship. It's actually my social, the feeling of lack of justice and inequality and isms that are all in the economic system. And anyway, it's really nice to have a small group of people from varying degrees of the spectrum here, it seems. I don't actually know the work that Felix is doing, but it sounds like it's awesome. And that you're like giving money and helping people give money. But like, I think the whole system is just so full of gunk, from our history in this country, and that we act like we're a land of opportunity. We're a land of opportunity for people to get into debt because most people are riddled with debt. You don't if you ask people what their debt is, like I have the only debt I have is my student loans. I paid off my credit card debt. So I don't make a lot of money, but I'm not in a lot of debt, so like, and my credit score is not good. So it's like, my brother who's basically unemployed has a really good credit score. So it's like, you were just messed up. Anyway, those are some ramblings I have. So maybe you have thoughts.
I do
Not
have
really
some
a question,
thoughts.
but
No, it's fine. It's just, I'm going to be really single-minded and bring us back to how you can be bolder. And so one of the things I noticed is that I absolutely hated money for years. And then I realized I don't particularly hate money. I hate I hate all the things that you talked about. So if I hate money, and it's really like I'm pasting all of that onto money, it's pretty hard for me to earn. It's hard for me to ask. I feel disgusting and dirty and sick when I ask. It just totally skews everything. And I end up participating even more in the system I don't like. So there's a way of cultivating non-attachment. There are, I mean, any one of a number of strategies. And I invite you to contact me after this if you want more ideas. It's not at all that what you're saying isn't true. It's that in this conversation, I'm here to serve you. And you have said by being here that you want to at least consider being bolder about money in 2022. That could be asking for more. It could be putting yourself out in the world more. It could be getting clearer on what you want. It could be doing some research and finding out, what do people in my sector even charge? What are the various models? It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, I guess they're just different issues. And I guess this conversation, because of the spectrum of the people involved, has just like kind of highlighted that, just like I believe in equality for people of all diverse backgrounds, LGBTQA, like whatever your skin tone is, like poverty and money inequality is like the elephant in the room that I think we haven't addressed in our culture. And just by me being able to share it, that I'm frustrated and angry about it. Because if you start with like a straw this big and somebody else has like a bamboo pole, we're not an equal society. Like we're not, our society is very, there's a lot of inequality that comes with financial stuff. Now I'm incredibly creative, resourceful, and savvy, but I guess part of what I'm realizing is that even though I've worked on my own, I've got lots of money, books, I've done money courses, I feel like my personal relationship with money is much better, much better. I feel like there's a certain element of injustice that I think I just wanted. I don't know that there's, like I said, even an answer, but part of me being bold is me saying, this is not, we live in an unfair.
This sucks. Yes.
culture.
Okay.
Yes.
So
And I think the boldness is just wanting to express the sort of underneath the surface situation that like people have fancy houses and in the basement, it's like filled with gunk and they look like they're happy and wealthy, but meanwhile they're filled with debt. Like it's like our system is fake. It's a facade. There's a lot of, and I'm not like that. I'm authentic about how I am. I live in a nice apartment. Thank God it's rent controlled, but like, I feel incredibly grateful, but there's injustice in the systems of money that I need to, I think, work on now that I've done the personal work more. Yes. And I don't know if you have resources that can recommend.
I do.
Or like, I feel like just even being able to speak it in a group feels really empowering because so maybe more on the systemic issues now that we're bringing all the ugliness in our culture out with the past couple of years in the pandemic. This is one of them that I feel like
this is, but it isn't just, it's the very founding of the whole country.
The whole country.
It goes back to the illegitimacy of the founding of our country. I wrote a series of blog posts where I thought I'm not a capitalist. I don't even play one on TV. I operate in a capitalist system. I'm a fundraiser, but I don't have to like this system. I can openly say I do not like it. I don't support it. There are many other viable models. This is not my model. But like when Trump was elected president, I did not say he is not my president because God knows he was my president. Something I did contributed to him being elected. And if he's not my president, as a citizen, I have no connection to him. So this is my system. I live in it, but I don't like it and I don't believe in it. I have not drunk the Kool-Aid. So I used the 12 steps. And I ran myself a program on disconnecting from capitalism. And I called it a series of blog posts on 12 steps for healing from capitalism, I think is what I called it. It's on my blog and I can show it to you. It's not like it's so brilliant and you could never do. It's like, this was my way of saying, here's me, here's this thing, I need to deal with this because it's a block in my personal life. I'm of no use to anyone if I just spew bitterness and stay poor. It's not helpful. If I have the capacity to do something different, and I really do. So that was one thought. I've also researched Gandhian economics, Buddhist economics, Amish economics, many, many, many interesting things. And from the communities movement, there are microcosms that are incredibly valid.
Yeah.
Those are also powerful.
any resources or links maybe in the chat. And also if anybody else on this has resources or ideas or examples of people who are wealthy contributing in a positive way, like I could use more of that. Like Felix, you probably have those. Like, I just want more examples of people trying to make things more equal and like to help. That like greed isn't the motivation, like hoarding your money isn't the motivation, like, you know, oppressing other people so that you can be wealthy. Like I even feel guilty that I shop on Amazon because I don't want to make Bezos one more penny richer. But some things are just easier to order on Amazon. Like not guilty, but like I try to not support
I try
systems
not
that
to
I
buy
don't
on
align
Amazon
with.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, like every now and again, it's just easier to order something than to travel an hour to the one store that has the one tiny thing of almond butter I want or whatever, you know?
Well, you can also order online, but from someone else. But anyway, Felix
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like he
yeah.
might.
It
Anyway,
looks like
so-
Chet is set up only to go to Beth. So in my ideas, we can't wait.world, which is about our project. That's
Do you
the first
see
thing.
his, yeah.
I don't see it.
And okay, yeah, the other thing, we can't wait.world with no apostrophe.
And
the
I
other
will
thing,
put it out to people.
Okay.
I will send it out. I did
Okay.
not know who was going to show up, and for Zoom
Okay.
bombing purposes, I just.
and the other thing, talking about elephants in the room, capitalism is an elephant in the room, reparations is an elephant in the room, and there's actually a bigger one that anybody who's been following the climate discussion, there's called loss and damage. And loss and damage is about what happens in the world when the people who are the most at risk did nothing to contribute to the problem. So what does the advanced world owe to them? Does it owe them a couple $2 billion like they promised? Or does it owe them a lot more because they are they're completely not guilty of anything that the advanced world has done to them for the last 100 years? And so this very abstract loss and damage word and everything, what it really is about reparations for the world. And are the wealthy people going to do that? And I don't take very much confidence in it from the fact that the advanced world could have spent $50 billion to have vaccinations for everyone in the world. And they had that opportunity and they passed on it and they protected themselves. And look what's happening. You know, they're as every scientist said, it's not protecting yourself if everyone in the world isn't vaccinated. So that's the big elephants.
So Beth and everyone else, can I share something?
Of course.
First of all, thank you very much for having this today. I am grateful for you for your statement, what's holding me back. By the way, before I don't want to forget what you said, Felix, about one of the things that does trouble me is coming from a culture that is now paying the price from having tons and tons of trash dumped in our waters. This is Haiti, and a slew of other things that has happened over the years, and we're paying the price for some of that. So there's so much of that would trouble me, but I want to stay focused on getting bolder for the moment because I can't help anybody unless I'm bolder right now. So let me go back to that. But thank you so much for saying what's holding me back, because what came up for me was showing up more, being more audacious. When you mentioned cultivating non-attachment, that's one side of me that has the attachment and that's always poking at me. So that's nurturing that relationship differently. You mentioned being single-minded about my intentions and my goals. Because of the inner conflicts, that single-mindedness doesn't always happen. But that's an area I'm going to be focusing on. And I love what you said about disconnecting from or healing from capitalism. Because I remember when I was a child, there was a song, we make song about everything in Haiti that we don't like. And there was a song about capitalism that one of my uncles, I think was an uncle, used to sing. And we knew capitalism was a bad idea, but we didn't have a choice because it was imposed on the culture. And I remember the scene, not the song itself, but I remember the scene of the Lara band coming out during the early part of the year. The bands come out and they were making fun of capitalism and how it was going to destroy, people's lives and all of that. But of course we couldn't stop it because of the way it came through. So here I am 40, I don't know how many years later, and I'm having to face this part of healing from it, because it came in and took over that small group, the peasant life where people share everything. Everybody made their own food. We had we were self-sufficient at one point. My grandmother was self-sufficient. I remember that. But unfortunately now nobody is. Everybody's relying on rice coming into the country and a whole host of other things. But healing from capitalism is important, because I'm not going to be the only one. And if I can learn enough to be able to share a little bit of that before I pass on, that'll be a good thing to my own family and other people that are going to be having to recover from this. So thank you so much. I just wanted to say that before I forget, for giving me some things to think about and asking my people for support on, and I'll keep coming back with you and sharing and stuff. Thank you.
That'd be great. I'm glad you took some space to talk about.
Yeah, you hit
after
some
you processed, after you digested it.
Yeah, you hit some really important points. This is serious. So
this is serious. I love money because it's where the shit hits the fan. It's where the rubber meets the road. I sometimes feel like it's such a light litmus test and a leitmotif that if we didn't have it, we'd have to invent it. It's so, like my clients in fundraising, I say, I thank you for your mission statement. Show me your budget. I'll tell you what your mission statement is if you show me your budget, because it's where you're investing your money. It's what you're doing with it, where you're spending it, and how you're bringing it in. Is it, is it ethical? Is it aligned with your values, etc.? And then, we are human, like Amy is pointing out. She's compromising. We don't always love compromising, but okay. We can't also let our own absolutism and purism destroy us. That's not good. I know it's 1 minute to the top of the hour and it's time to go. I will be in touch. Kimberly, I don't have a number for you, but an email for you, but I'll find you. And I wrote down the resources that people want, including Felix's website. Yeah, I'm going to send it. And I will definitely. Oh, I see.
I'll message you my email in case you don't have my direct email.
I don't have your email. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll message you.
I just have the Facebook. Okay. And Felix, I will put your website in there. Thank you. Okay, loves. Mwah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for figuring out who you are and what you want to do in life.
And being bolder. Okay. Blessings.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.